Peace, y'all, and welcome back to another tea time. You already know the vibes, divine destiny. Back at it like a coffee addict, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I already drank my coffee. I was sitting here editing the Monday motivational reading, and my coffee just got good to me, and it's gone. So this tea time is brought to you by the coffee that I already drank. Anyway, we're gonna jump right into today's tea time. We will be discussing the five senses, actually, right? And how they are more than just physical 3D, right? We have all been blessed and well, most of us, right, have been blessed and born with all five senses, right? And we're going to get into all the ins and outs of that, right? But also deeper than that, it's not just like what we can taste, touch, see, feel, smell, hear on the physical. It's amplified into the physical, the spiritual realm as well, right? So we're going to dive into that. If that sounds like something that vibes with you, then vibe with me. Grab your coffee, grab your water, grab your blanket, grab your tea, grab your smoke, whatever it is you need to vibe with me and tap into today's tea time. Let's get it.
Are you an ambitious co-creator with a strategy that feels out of alignment? You're meant for mastery, but if your vision feels blurred or your next move isn't crystal clear, you're wasting your most valuable asset, your energy. That's why I created the Divine Alignment Blueprint. This isn't just a reading, it's your personalized 90-minute strategic command session. We pinpoint your highest purpose, clear the energetic blocks, and forge your sovereign action plan, a precise divine strategy to accelerate your purpose for the next 6 to 12 months. Stop guessing. Start commanding. Book your Divine Alignment Blueprint session today and unlock your undeniable destiny.
So before we jump into it, like right before I started, as I was like prepping to record for this, and even like right now, I just had to wait for some sirens to go by. So it just feels like they've been going since I like right before I started this video, right? So it feels very significant, right? This is something that somebody needs to hear. So if you made it to this tea time, if you're here for this message, then there is something in it for you. Thank you for tuning in and tapping in with me. Like this video if you like this video, okay? But yeah, jumping right into it, we're discussing the five senses, like I said: see, touch, taste, smell, and hear, right? And recognizing like there is an equal and I don't even want to say opposite. There's an equal spiritual gift, right? Equal and aligned. There you go. Spiritual gift that connects to all five of those senses, right? All right, listen, okay, because she did not do her research. There's an equal and aligned spiritual name for the senses, right? It's your spiritual senses as well as it is your physical senses, which is why we have all been gifted the senses that we have, even if maybe you were born with maybe you don't have all five of your senses, and maybe some of them are impaired and some of them are more advanced, right? Because when you lose one or one is not as strong, the others are stronger, right? Even in the physical sense, that is the truth. So if you don't have one or it's impaired, that's probably equal and aligned in your spiritual senses as well, right? So with that being said, I feel like it's when you know this, when you're conscious of this energy, then you can become more aware of your own senses, how you take in your physical world, right? Which senses are stronger, which senses need a little more love, attention, or which senses just aren't as strong, right? And then you can give that attention to your spiritual senses, which will then equate to your physical senses, right? And I'm not saying that you can, if you have an impairity, I don't know if that's a word, if you have impaired, let's say, vision or something, I'm not saying that working on your spiritual eye is going to work your physical eye. I'm not saying that. I am not a doctor. Listen, what I am saying though is that if you have if you have physical imparities, that's where we gonna go with, because that's what I'm feeling in my mind, body, and spirit. If you have an impairity in one aspect, then it's probably also that spiritual sense is also a little weakened or impaired. So you can strengthen that, or you could just move with that recognition and then pay attention to which of your physical senses are enhanced due to the impairity of the say you have the impaired vision, and so your hearing is advanced, right? Then it would be logical to say, right, that your spiritual vision might be a little impaired and your spiritual hearing could be a little more in depth, but it also doesn't have to be, they don't have to be equivalent, right? Your physical vision can be impaired and your spiritual eye could be impeccable. Do you know what I'm saying? You don't need your physical vision because your spiritual vision is so strong. So it could be, you could be on either side of the scale, which is why I'm saying, like, you have to know yourself first, right? And understand, like, really get in tune with your senses, with yourself on a physical level, so that it could then lead you into understanding your spiritual gifts more. I am a firm believer that every last one of us has spiritual gifts, and we are spiritual beings and oh my goodness, we are spiritual beings having a spiritual experience in human form. Let me slow down. Mercury retrograde is coming and she's on my ass. He's on my ass. Okay. So we all have spiritual gifts. The physical form is just the first layer, right? Like, if we just break down that sentence in itself, we are spiritual beings having a spiritual experience in human form. The human form is the last part, right? But like being here in this human form, in this world that they've created for us, the emphasis is always on the human form. And putting that emphasis on the human form is what keeps us disconnected from the spiritual form, right? Keeps us disconnected from the spiritual senses, the spiritual strength, the spiritual power, the spiritual wisdom, right? So if we are only focusing on our physical senses, then we're missing our spiritual senses, right? And your physical senses are very much so a tool to help you understand your spiritual senses. They are the same thing, right? It just depends on how deeply attuned you are to understanding yourself and the world around you, and how you experience and feel and hear and taste and smell and touch the world around you. You know what I mean? And how that reacts with your own energy and how your energy receives those senses. And then you dive deeper into it on a physical level, because we all have the spiritual gifts. I'm going to say it again. We are all spiritual beings having a spiritual experience, which means we all have spiritual senses that we should be tapping into and tuning into. And that's what I'm here to do. That's what this whole channel is about, is getting you to tap in and tune into your own spiritual intuition and senses and keen eye and vision and hearing and feeling and tasting and touching and smelling, right? What it is that you feel, what it is that you taste, what it is that you touch, and recognizing that it can take you deeper. You know what I'm saying? Like, even so much so, it's like, I feel like we've all had at least one experience where you smell something and it takes you back to a memory or an experience. It gives you that sense of nostalgia because it reminds you of your childhood or a good moment or experience that you had or a person that you love, right? That sense, that's your spiritual sense right there. That is your spiritual sense, right? And so we all have that spiritual sense. It's a perfect example. But then there are certain people who recognize that they have that spiritual sense, and then they do whatever is necessary to enhance or fine tune the tool and the muscle that is that spiritual sense. And you can do that with every last one of them, all five of your senses. You can choose to fine tune, right, by just paying attention to and understanding the deeper meaning behind each sense, and where it takes you, where it leads you, where it guides you, and what it is that that guidance is trying to tell you, right? Because if you smell something and it takes you back to a memory, it takes you back to a person, what is it about that person or that memory or that situation? What is that trying to tell you? Why are you being reminded of that, right? It's like asking the deeper questions to then dive deeper. And I think that's really like the basis of spirituality, is just diving deeper and not being afraid to dive deeper and understand why things pop up for us, why things feel the way that they feel, why these feelings are coming up, why these senses are coming up, why were you brought to this space mentally, emotionally, energetically, because you felt this thing, or because you smelled this thing, or because you tasted this thing, or because you saw something or heard something. What is it that you're hearing? What is it that you're seeing, and why? Right? There's always a deeper meaning, and I feel like that's really what I'm being called to share in this message. Is like there's always a deeper meaning, even down to the senses that most of us take for granted. Most of us don't even like really, I mean, like, yeah, we understand that we have eyes and we can see, and we have ears that we can hear, but like we hear, we see, we taste, we touch, we smell every day. So I don't think it's something that we really allow ourselves to like slow down and pay attention to and tap into and say, why am I seeing or tasting or feeling these things? Or what does it bring up when I see or taste or feel or touch these things? And how can I apply that to the deeper knowledge of self, right? What is this trying to teach me about the world around me? What is this trying to show me about what is coming or what has been? Really like diving into, and when you start asking those questions, even in the smallest things of like this taste, this touch, this smell, especially if you're not eating anything and you taste something, or you have like a distinct smell that pops up for you and you don't smell it anywhere. Like there's nothing cooking, there's nothing, whatever the smell is for you, you know what I'm saying? Like that's when you know that it's obviously popping up for you from a deeper sense than the physical, and it's probably best to ask a little deeper questions, right? If you want to dive deeper into the spiritual knowing, the spiritual aspects, the spiritual understanding of yourself and your spiritual senses, it starts with asking why. Why is my favorite question, and it always has been. And why gets you into a lot of trouble because a lot of people don't either want to dive deeper into the why, or they don't have the understanding capacity to dive deeper into the why, right? So we're not taught to ask why, because sometimes they don't want you to ask why. I don't want you to know why, right? If you're not asking why, especially when it comes to yourself and what you're seeing, feeling, tasting, touching, hearing, experiencing, if we're not asking the deeper why questions, then we just remain on that physical level that they try to keep us in this world so that we don't elevate, so that we don't move forward. In reality, the deeper you know yourself, the deeper you know your path, the deeper you know exactly where it is that you came from and where it is that you're going. Spiritually, energetically, physically, in every aspect of life, right? You find that alignment and balance the deeper you know yourself. So I feel like this tea time is really for anybody who is trying to find a deeper knowing, a deeper understanding of themselves and their spiritual gifts, their spiritual senses, right? This, I feel like this is like the, for anybody who's just diving into spirituality, or maybe even a reminder for those who haven't been in for a while but are maybe in a lull. I don't know, but that has been the message to tune into, especially right now, is like we're falling back and like we're coming into the winter season, right? And we find ourselves, a lot of society finds themselves in that like seasonal depression energy. Maybe that's why this is coming up right now, is like allowing yourself to feel it, right? Experience it, not getting caught up in those feelings, but asking the deeper questions of like, why is this feeling being brought up for me? Why is this smell being brought up for me? Or why is this memory being brought up because of this smell or because of this taste? Like, what is this memory trying to get me to understand or recognize or know about myself or about my situation, about whatever it is, right? I feel like spirit is at this point, especially as we're moving out of this year of 9 into these new beginnings, like this is our last shedding for real before we step into an entirely new cycle, an entirely new season, an entirely new version of self and timeline. And so I feel like this right now is spirit asking you to like take the time to go deeper within your senses spiritually and physically, to really understand yourself more intrinsically, what you're feeling, what you experience, what pops up for you. Allow yourself to feel it really so you can heal through it, so you can transmute it, so you can alchemize it. So when we end this year of 9, when you come out of this winter, when you come out of this shedding, you've really done the releasing work to step into whatever chapter, whatever season, whatever version, whatever lifetime, whatever timeline it is that you've manifested for yourself fully, abundantly, authentically, wholeheartedly, and unconditionally. Wow, I feel like that was like a lot that just came out of me. Anyway, that has been the message. If you like this video, share it with somebody that you think needs to hear it. If you are not already a part of the tribe, what are you doing? What are you doing? Go ahead and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so that you know when I drop new videos. If you need anything from me, a divine alignment blueprint reading, just a regular clarity reading, yoga, meditation, anything and all that's going to be in my description box, in my bio, or in the pinned comment. And until next time, stay aligned. Peace.